Well, so far this week, it's been a good energy week with some highs and lows. As we were discussing earlier, when I was up at 3:30 this morning, I did have a nice little sighting out over the Grand Canyon. Uh, it certainly set my day right that we're having a good connection with the folks from out there. Kind of leave it at that. Uh, I I have a good intention set forth for this new business that I have been manifesting, so to speak, with my intention. Uh, Wanted to talk a little bit about focusing our attention on our intention. I was speaking with Joanne a little earlier about manifestation time now, being in this new paradigm, so to speak, timeline, call it what you will. Uh, we're dealing with a lot more energy. And, uh, depending on your focus, uh, you may not get uh, what your desired results are for a pleasant 24-hour experience. Uh, to have a pleasurable 24-hour experience, I've found, and I got this uh, information through the recovery movement, is to take smaller bites out of our day, out of our life, to be able to, uh, so to speak, have our day as a pie chart uh, where we have, so much of that pie chart dedicated to our daily business outside, in commerce, and then to set aside time for grounding and cleansing our quantum field. I've been really working on, fine tuning and adjusting my quantum field and my connectivity. It's been sort of my main focus, so as to think clearly to expand this new small business venture that I've come up with a friend of mine. It's just an antique car restoration business, just a two-man shop, specializing in the old Volkswagen camper buses. So, there's a lot of popularity with that, the whole camping aspect, especially now with people want to exit the matrix, get out and, experience themselves more, and with the rise in consciousness as well. So, that's kind of where I'm putting my energies this week, and how my week is going, how my focus is going, is basically on the great outdoors. The weather here in northern Arizona, it's hit and miss with nice days and our winter weather still. But today's been a great day weather-wise. Just connecting with nature. Our personal home, it backs up to a wildlife area currently, and we have a water dish out there, so we get a lot of birds and small animals that come and water during the day. So it's a peaceful experience, and if you're listening to this audio today and you were directed here, try to raise your connectivity with nature as much as you can, even if you're in a city dwelling area. Try to be barefoot in the park, so to speak. That was an old term used back in the 60s and 70s, during the hippie movement, barefoot in the park. I think it was a Broadway play or a movie or something like that. But I think a return to that a simpler way, when we're doing our daily routine in the matrix.
Mm.
So those are my thoughts anyway, Joanne.
I think it's incredibly, I can feel your inner peace with you appreciating all that life has to offer you. I mean, life truly is a blessing. We must be grateful. We must have gratitude for all the things that we can have and do have. I know we all sort of want other things that we don't have and feel frustrated. But when you sort of step back and appreciate all the things we do have, which is so much, we're forever really blessed. Um, it was reminding me of a beautiful friend of mine who experienced the long power outages in Texas. And her reflection was everyone should go camping. It is so great for the soul.
Absolutely. I've focused most of my adult life uh, on vintage camping. Um, my father, he enjoyed to go out fishing, and I followed along. I really wasn't much into the fishing as far as sitting still with a hook in the water, but it was nice to just be out by a nice brook and to see the little tide pools. It was something we did as kids. We used to ride our bikes down the coast uh, from our communities, and we get about 8 or 10 miles south, and there were these old uh, uh, shipwrecks that were not far off the coast. And when the tide was out, we could get out to fairly close, and there were tide pools out there, and connecting with that salt water and that energy from the earth. It was good for us, and we didn't realize it at the time. It was just natural, but after you've disconnected for so long, you put those ways of doing things, at least, the way of doing things when I was a kid, to connect with nature. We put all that away and sacrificed ourselves, to making a buck in the matrix, because we thought it was the right thing to do. It's all we knew. At least it was all I knew, you know,
It feels
and
it feels like we've tried to make life so complicated with job titles and materialism to be able to enjoy ourselves. Whereas when we strip everything down and go back, it just reminds me of taking my children out and discovering some rock pools. And every rock pool feels like a little universe you're looking into. And it looks like there is nothing there to start off with. And then the more still we are, the more you can see all different types of crabs and starfish and little fish and sea urchins and everything. And you don't realize when you're just walking past how there's so much in this little pool that is only temporary because when another tide comes in, it's so interesting. Anyway, sorry. I really am.
no, that's great because a child's exuberance when they see these living creatures in the water like that. I remember during my college days, I was in a small college in Florida and had the opportunity to make it over to the Bahamas and down to the Keys and to see all that marine life, and to see the dolphins and the manatees and the barracudas and all that in the water. That was just, stuff that you just these are bucket list moments that we create in this life, and if we're not careful, this whole thing about, earning a buck will take it all away from us, and, it's tough to learn that, don't put it off till you're retired. You've got to have fun, while you're earning money, in time. times. You have to make time for that, whatever it takes, even if, it's an army tent and, you're at a campground somewhere where there's a lot of other people, but, you got to connect to this earth. This, this earth is a capacitor. It stores energy, and it's good, clean energy. It cleanses energy, and it absorbs a lot of plasma from outer space. And, it's free to us, and they can't take that from us. They try to take that from us with, not being able to breathe in public places, and we can see, that empire is cracking, that people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and there's pushback now, and we're going to see more pushback, you know. Something big's coming, I'll guarantee you that, we all know that. We don't know what it is or when it is, but it's going to be a big moment, that's for sure. And there's going to be bigger ones after it too.
Mm. Well, I mean, obviously, I hear a lot of things from sessions, which is always amazing for me in terms of there's so many private sessions where the clients certainly don't know each other, and it's the same information. The information's not made public, and it's just incredible how consistent the information is regarding what's happening and what we
Oh
want.
yeah, cross collaboration is the ideal source. When that that's the 100th monkey in uh, at work,
Yeah.
so to speak, because you have people on different parts of the world and they're coming up with the same experience.
Yeah.
The consciousness is there. It's whisker thin too,
Well,
between us and out there.
I was concerned that maybe I was saying too much. I didn't feel like I was sharing any of my thoughts or other experiences from different sessions with my clients. So as soon as I was starting to notice there was consistency, I was like, wait, I better not share anything at all with from my other experiences. So I just treated each individual client and just, as we're supposed to, just, not share any of our own thoughts or experiences or other information, and just hold space for the client. So
Yeah, leading the witness, so to speak.
well, I mean, it was so shocking, the information that I was getting at the start. I was having to process it, and I had bought all of Dolores's books, but I never actually got the time to sit down and read them all. And I sort of had probably about 20 mind-blowing sessions where I just was like, I can't believe they're all matching. It was like, am I in the twilight zone? What is happening to me? I was really respectful of each client, but all the information that I was getting, that I was having to apply to myself and understand what's actually going on here, it was a journey to experience it. But it was reading some of Dolores's books where she was sort of saying this is where she got her greatest strength from this work, understanding that it's not possible for her clients to have worked together, to have collaborated some ridiculous, consistent story, for her to meet them and find out the same information. So when I knew that Dolores was having that experience, then I was like, oh, thank goodness, it's not me being it was a huge relief.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sure it was an epiphany moment for you too. You get these light bulb moments like, dang, this is really going to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's pretty exciting. Absolutely. Super, super, super exciting. And we were mentioning before, and I love how you word things. So about the most important responsibility that we have is our own selves and doing our own inner work. What would you like to say about that?
Well, the optimum frequency of our skeletal system is at stake here. It's under assault every day with these, electronic devices that we are so connected to now. So again, it's, you want to keep a lot of good fresh water in your system, watch the chemicals that you ingest, try to be as clear a channel as absolutely possible, and uh, ask for guidance from your higher self, and your spirit guide team, whatever makes you comfortable. If you're uh, have a fundamental Christian background and you're comfortable with angels and saints, by all means, use that. Use the recovery movement has what's called a simple kit of spiritual tools. It's you're given that, or it's talked about in these recovery meetings, uh, and it's limitless. It's the whole universe in your Batman utility belt. It's all there 24 hours a day. All you got to do is ask. It and uh, you know your response uh, is dependent upon how clear your channel is, because you're never given more than you can't handle. You are where you are. You can't go from, being a week sober, or, not addicted to whatever it was you're addicted to, and then to be having some kind of Christed light moment, where you're floating around with people in other densities. You're gonna it's a step-by-step thing, and you got to put in the work, and that's the work on yourself. There's two kinds of love. There's love and there's tough love, and your tough love is given to you by your higher self because you need it. You're only going to be able to go so far sometimes, before the snapback effect happens. And you hear that in these speaker meetings in the recovery movement. And in fact, Joanne, you had that one with Jeffrey Epstein a few months back. Regardless if he's alive or he's dead, that makes no point. But the channeling that came in, that was a complete recovery speaker meeting type of session, because he didn't understand the ramifications of his actions throughout his life, as the memo that I got through that session. And that's we're going to see a lot of this when all of this broadcast comes out in the next days, weeks, months, whenever humanity's ready for the big revelation, the reveal. you know um,
Well,
Maybe it won't come out till after med beds. I don't know. I think maybe people will be able to handle uh, all the darkness after they've healed better. I mean, right now we've all been dog kicked most of our lives, and having to endure the grueling darkness of what's been going on for since Cain and Abel. Uh,
mm,
we might be able to handle it a little better once med beds come along and everybody gets a little bump up in our life in general, our electrical connections.
with this story with Cain and Abel, could it be an analogy for reptilians and humans?
Well, yeah, that's almost a guarantee, because you look back at the connection between Eve and her uh, encounter with whatever being that was. I mean, down through the ages, it was, told to be a snake, but, she was definitely inseminated with something other than Adam's seed. That's guaranteed right there, you know.
I don't know. I mean, I've asked in sessions to see Adam and Eve, and my sort of belief system is that we having the human experience is part of us being seated here. So I don't really buy in the Adam and Eve story, but um, so if we were seated here, we all come from source, and um, you know we got to experience humans coming here and breeding, and then there were other beings that came here and they were breeding, and we're all trying to feel as comfortable as we can here experiencing this.
Well, I can see your point in the aspect of, a specific woman having an encounter, with something other than supposedly the only other guy on this planet. I think it's more of an analogy of if you go back a few verses, you go up a little bit in the storyline. Uh, the directive was given to stay away from a certain item, regardless of what the item is. It's a tree or whatever. But if you take that analogy and you plug it into consciousness, the first creation of humans, so to speak, may have been experiencing a singularity. And, the singularity experience staled out and they wanted more. So the duality experience was created. And the duality experience, gives you the left brain logical side as well as the right brain compassionate side. And now the trick, and the trick has been this way ever since the duality was uh, given, to this creation here. The trick is to follow the middle path, as Buddha always said. We can float into the compassionate side when we need to, or float into the logical side when we need to. But the trick is to ride that center rail of pure consciousness. So it's kind of a balancing thing, and so far, we've basically needed training wheels, and they aren't there. We all fall into the left or we all fall into the right. This duality thing. So are we going into another singularity? Are we going into a triangularity? I don't know. I have no idea. But I know this. We're coming to a pinch point. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We haven't met that pinch point yet. But I hope I can stick around, and I hope it's soon. It should be a hoot.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like when the beings wanted to come originally to Earth to experience human experiences, it seems like it was in like a smaller tribe-like setting where you all had one role. It was harmonious, and the roles you played with kind of like with your soul families coming down to all experience this, human, this planetary existence, and it was supposed to just be all light-hearted and but still with lessons, and then you sort of all
Yeah,
had that.
I go along with that. It was definitely supposed to have a positive experience. I mean,
Yeah.
for my whole life, and with the history books, it's just been one negative experience after another since the Old Testament. And I don't know, how far that really goes back as far as a linear, timeline, because I don't really, I'm along the same lines as you about, how fictional these ancient stories are, or how real they are. And the same question I have is with timelines. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the oldest gravestone on the planet that exists is from the year 1620. Why 1620? I mean, we got written books that go back way back before 1620. What the heck happened in 1620? Did some guy show up and get a light bulb moment to create mortuaries or what? Start selling crap to people? That dead body over there, that needs a gravestone. People didn't even know what they were,
Well,
you
didn't
know?
they used to have them in catacombs underneath the ground, and in like Roman times and Greek times?
Well, maybe underground, but as far as topside cemeteries goes, the oldest one known to exist right now is 1620. And here we go again with this cataclysm stuff that we talked about early on. With something very catastrophic happening, somewhere in the very early 1800s. That turned us basically all into a bunch of ponds for a bunch of creepy rich guys, you know? I
Well,
mean,
come
it's
on.
been a 200-year onslaught of all of us been really being led around by the nose.
We can't be sexist here. Rich girls too that are
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the fair use code, right? Give the
Well,
give
I
them
mean, we
give them what's used too.
okay. Going back to going back to simpler times when human beings were in smaller tribes, they did come across extraterrestrials, shall we call them, that were exploring this planet, and some of them got stuck here because of equipment technicalities. And so while they were here, trying to be curious with what humans were looking like at that time and trying to be nice neighbors, they did try to give humanity some tools and some really helpful things to kind of assist them, which was, I think, documenting days to be able to map out seasons for crops. And that was a big no-no. Humanity was not supposed to start having records of these, because once we start relying on those records, we stop looking at the skies and nature. So also, like with time, as soon as we started counting time, that was when we truly started dumbing down ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. The oral tradition with all of our native cultures, where you are over there with the indigenous tribes and our Native Americans here, it's all been passed down orally. And it's a feeling that you get, it's it may not necessarily be the son of a son of a son, where the same modality will follow it. It skips around within that tribe, I think.
Mm. Well, I mean, the wiser information, they knew, because of the elements, nothing that they had to create or produce was going to last longer. So they, even if they did write it down, those, they, the stories of the information and the, myths had to be said word for word and not Chinese whispers without being culturally insensitive. God, I feel like I'm fumbling over my words already today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so important to try and, like, I know, I can't remember which one of the books it was. It must have been Star Crash, Legacy of Star Crash. It's a fantastic book. Highly recommend Custodians from Dolores as well. All of Dolores's books are just such amazing gems. Remembering when she's talking about New Earth, it was in a different projection. There was a different opportunity for humanity to experience New Earth here. And so from sessions we have evolved ourselves. We've heard from sessions that it's not going to be here. But I mean, that doesn't matter about this conversation really, because it's the concepts and just understanding how the heck did we get here. I just wanted to say one thing. When I was at varsity, I was doing religion, but it was sort of like death, dying, and religion and mysticism. But one of our lecturers, Simon Beach, I can't remember his name. Oh gosh, well, it was quite a long time ago, so I'm sure he's not going to be offended that I can't remember his name. But he wanted to know the exact interpretation of the Bible, so he went back and learnt, was it Sanskrit or something like that, and he worked during the day and then would go home and translate the original text because he was sort of sick of everyone sort of having the different interpretations of it and it being all Chinese whispers again, kind of, but in the written form of the Bible. And so when he got to the part about the Garden of Eden, the original word that it was supposed to actually be was the Garden of Good and Apple, not evil.
Yeah.
not evil. And so when he finished this book, it took him, I don't know how many years, it was, took up all of his spare time. When he finally had translated the Bible in pure accuracy and it was a massive mission. He thought that everyone would just jump at reading the truth and the real interpretations and the real meaning of the Bible, without any other sort of like mistranslation errors. And he said it just felt that no one really cared. Like no one really wanted to know the truth, because it's really what their minister's going to tell them, it's what their pastors are telling them, it's what their gurus are telling them, and no one really wants to read and find the truths for themselves. And for that man, it really almost broke him. He just couldn't believe, here's the truth, guys, here's the actual translations. I can't make it any more easier for you than apart from coming to your home, tucking you in at night and reading you a chapter.
Yeah. I have watched a man that was able to access that information from the Vatican Library and was able to translate that. I've watched that video before, and it's absolutely fascinating, that some of these words were switched deliberately, in our modern text, to kind of throw us off as far as, the way things really happened.
Well, what I discovered yesterday when I was connecting with Nostradamus was that 3 churches, or 3 religions, I should say, they have edited out their own Bibles so much that they've removed all of the information about reincarnation, which is in the original text. And
yes.
So you're having to actually come back now and say, when we were all saying, YOLO, you only live once. Well, that's just going to be a slang that, is really done and dusted in the 80s or whenever it came. Because the thing is, funny as it is, reincarnation is actually a real thing. And, Westerners seem to have been really distracted from that, whereas Easterners, some people know in their religions that reincarnation is a thing, and other people's religions, it's a big no-no.
Yeah, especially out here, I tell you, I have the toughest time. There are a lot of religious cults that live in my town, small city, if you want to call it that. And boy, I'll tell you what, they are some hardcore people. And when that whatever is going to come, when we have that event or events plural, these people are just, I don't know, I don't know how they're going to react. It should be interesting. The fundamental philosophy, is just, it's a deep mind control, that's for sure. I mean, they're good people, they're really good people. They all want what the rest of us want, but it's just such a hardcore way of getting your point across. I guess it's not as gentle as I guess the creator probably wanted or intended for us to hear it.
Do you think because people believe that they're going to live just this one life, that they should get as many husbands and wives as possible?
I think that whole, because I am in Mormon country here. In fact, the other side of the Grand Canyon, they own that top end of the other side of the canyon. It's all their ranch land up there, and they live little. What was that TV show? Little House on the Prairie. I don't know if you ever got that down where you were, but it was a frontier lifestyle. About the only modern convenience besides inside plumbing is they all drive to Toyota pickups, or Ford pickups, but they are very, very backwards, and you can't blame them. That the modern society has nothing to offer.
I mean, if I could get as much loving as possible and be as simple as possible and enjoy the simple things of life. I think I would probably, I would look into that for my next lifetime if I could have a lifetime here, potentially. That sounds like a lot of loving and a lot of just inner peace. And so I'm not mocking it. I think it's quite
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
but again, I mean, when we were back in the tribes, in those earlier times, we weren't locked into separate homes to isolate ourselves from each other. We were all communal and we were all respectful of each other. And I mean, obviously there was probably some issues, but I feel like it was a much more harmonious way to live. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
but it wasn't like you were always shacked up with Bob. It was like you could go with whatever you desired that sort of day, and it was not shunned upon. And I think that's a lot of people's problems, isn't it? Being forced into one balance of a relationship, and and then gosh, the guilt and the stress and the heartbreak that when marriage is dissolved. It seems like it's such an unnecessary trauma for people because
Well,
society suddenly says you failed.
we as humans are treated the same way as these livestock animals, really, in the sense of, being herded into boxes. I mean, the mind control boxes, they're not physical fences or anything along those lines, but in a way they are. We all live in our little houses, and all the tribes, they had all round buildings, all of them. The Indians had teepees, and the people down there where you're at, they had those big grass huts. They were all circular,
You
you
know what?
know.
I was going to make a joke about us not being artificially inseminated like the cattle, and then I realized how common it is actually to now be artificially inseminated as humans, because there's always something wrong somehow miraculously to for our reproduction systems now, regardless of whether they think it's because of we are reproducing at a later date, or because we've been so freaking poisoned that our bodies are like, no, we're not playing that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Frankenstein stuff just never ends, all of that stuff. I mean, that's the best they got for us, is to be ghoulish, and thank God we're all better than that.
Well, I mean, we still, our bodies still yearn if we want to still have children, want to have children, and we'll do anything we can to work with the system to get what we need. Biologically, our bodies, I know for I can only speak for myself, but when you feel like you need to have children, you become a bit batshit crazy. Actually, I'm gonna definitely say that was for me. There was this yearning desire that I must and need to. It was really bizarre. I sort of thought that old ticking time clock thing was nonsense, and yeah, I didn't get it until I experienced myself, and then now I can understand it a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, remember, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but about the cycles of 9, from 0 to 9, we talked about, when we go to school, we're taught how to count, and it's totally wrong. We're
Okay.
supposed to count 0 to 9, not 1 to 10. But the cycle of 9 is, the growth and expansion of our lives. Uh, Look back on your life at 9, and then 18, and at 27. Um, uh, then, what, 36. I don't know, you obviously haven't experienced 45 yet.
No, no,
um,
I just turned 45 22 days ago.
okay, so you're starting, or you're in a big transition right now, just like I am, so that may be why we're connecting uh, on a regular basis here, because I'm at 64. And I believe 63, what was it? It's 45, then 54, then 63. So I just hit my second year of my new 9-year cycle. And by golly, in fact, they even say in your first year of your change, you have more of a outward going aggressive behavior. And then you start to back off a little bit as you fall into this next 9-year cycle.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's nature at work right there. I mean, can you see a pattern in your own life on this 9-year cycle? I
Yeah,
certainly can. I know I was putting down the toy cars and wanting a dirt bike at 9 or 10 years old, you know.
yeah. I just want to go back one step, and because I do want to share my experience with numbers. I know I've heard some people talking about, uh, how all these numbers all mean things, and they're very passionate about it, and I think that's fantastic, and they are, working out. I think it's some sort of Q movement as well as other people, and I just think good on you guys. They're really passionate about it, and they're feeling like they're getting a lot of information from the numbers. For me right now, I'm like, I'm not getting any of it. I don't see it, but not because I don't believe it, because I just don't have time to sit down and understand it. But what you've just said to me now about the 9, I can respect, understand. But I just want to go back to a time when I was a child and we were doing maths in class, and I felt very full, like I felt very comfortable with maths. Being dyslexic, I did not want to touch any of the alphabet or the spelling or any of that sort of stuff. I would just, yuck, hideous. But with math, I felt very comfortable with it until the teachers were not marking the answers, but wanting to know your working, the way that you could work through it to get your answers. So it wasn't very, it just became more expansive, but they wanted us to show our working to get to the final
Yeah, they
result.
wanted you to prove your results.
Yes, and I just couldn't.
I had the same problem. I know what you're
Oh
feeling.
my God. And it really buckled me. I really just was like, oh my God, I'm failing. I'm failing at something I naturally could do and pick up and see. I could just see it so easily, the answers, without even knowing why I could see the answers. And it was honestly like, I remember the teacher sitting down and saying, well, how did you get that answer? And I was like, well, is the answer right or wrong? And she's like, it doesn't matter. You have to show your workings. And I was like, oh my God, lady, I can't even know. I don't know how I'm getting
Well,
there.
that's your empathic skills at work as a child. I had the same situation. The answer would come to our heads and we'd put it down and got it right. And that would piss off the teacher because we got it right. And they think we're guessing and we're just empathic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was really struggling because I couldn't understand why I couldn't get and tell her the way I got to that answer. And even though they tried to, like, mansplain it to me, I still couldn't do the small steps to get to where it was. I don't, yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, I gave up. That was the
Oh, I know. Yeah. It'll send you in another direction in life. That's for sure.
end.
You know, that was,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to be a public accountant or anything. That's
Oh,
for sure.
no, bless the accountants. They keep telling me they find numbers very creative with their accountancy, and I respect them. I know some fantastic accountants that have been clients of mine who I've just appreciated so much with. But for me, being another type of creative person, I ended up doing more of the arts because I sort of felt like, haha, one thing I can't get wrong.
Well, thank God in our new paradigm, there won't have any need for accounting because there's not going to be any debt or any reason, to pay any kind of a tax or anything. I think all that's behind us now as far as the new money system is concerned.
So, what does it look like, do you think, when all these systems collapse? And how are we going to get new systems that are going to be successful and keep us all in harmony? Do you think that the med beds are going to come and actually get us emotionally and psychologically untriggered and traumatized from where we have got to? Because I mean, I don't see that from our session, from the sessions that I'm having. But I'm just wanting to go, okay, so if we don't shift, let's just consider all options. I'm not limiting myself to any any firm belief system, apart from I fully respect everything from the session. So I always feel like that gives me the best guidance. But just for the novelty factor, how does this all unfold if we don't shift and we still here working out new epic systems that are not going to be corrupted again and that's truly going to empower the people?
Well, I think we're going to go through an expansive good time as soon as, all these broadcasts and things come to the light of day. There's got to be some kind of a big announcement of some sort to shake us loose of the situation that we're in right now, because it's all just a bunch of regurgitation. It's finger pointing, and it's as if we were still before the elections, with all this mudslinging and poof throwing and all this crap.
Well, we are still monkeys with monkey brains, so throwing poo kind of is socially acceptable in the
Yeah,
joke.
so we've got to have something, that's it's something that's going to come. It's almost as if we're all flatlined right now, and we're just kind of in a tailspin or in limbo, and we need those paddles that they use when people have heart attacks. Everybody's got to get some kind of a jolt that's going to bump them up in their awareness. I don't know how severe or subtle it's going to be or what, but there's got to be some kind of a global, just a surge, some kind of a knee knocker surge, something.
Okay, well, should we just make the public announcement now that things are going to change, buckle up and accept that the truth will come out, because it's about to burst like a massive boil?
Well, the way you said that, maybe the Akashic records will just get turned on, and all of a sudden we'll just all experience this library moment of knowing everything about everything, and it'll just freak and creep everybody out.
Well, I have heard in a session that the Akashic records has been moved now into everyone's individual body.
I believe that. I'm not surprised.
And so we can tap into it, because it's kind of like it's now changed. It couldn't be in this one place anymore. It was too susceptible to other things happening to it. And so this is why a lot of people have, physical issues now, but are actually because of past lifetimes. And so this is why you've got to get to that past lifetime experience and heal that, and allow the subconscious to disconnect that, or for that lesson to be learned for the client to then release it. So there's like so much to this world of information. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're exactly right with what you're saying. It's just, again, it's an inside job. Whenever people want to move up in the spiritual realm, you have to stop overachieving in the matrix, slow down, try to, remove as much baggage as you can. In other words, getting into moments in social media where you're throwing your energy into this subject, or, taking a position on something that doesn't matter over here. All these distractions, you got to lose the distractions and just focus on your inner work. And, a person will have epiphany after epiphany if they keep it simple.
So true. Well, did I say to you the other day that I was talking to another practitioner, and we were making a joke about how, everyone asks what's their life purpose and mission here and what their life contract is in sessions. And I sort of said, well, no one's life contract and purpose here is to make as much money as possible. Like no one's. Like it's But more people actually have money blocks because the subconscious, and they knew when they were signing up for it. It's not so good for the spiritual soul and your evolution to be of service to humanity if you're chasing that dollar.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you're still learning your lessons of addiction when you're chasing the almighty dollar. You haven't changed. The dollar is no different than a bottle of blue booze or a needle with, whatever chemical that you're
Mm.
hooked on. It's all the same. It's a device. Guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns and letter openers and knives and all kinds of stuff, but it's the person, you know, it's the person, it's not the device. And that's what's taught in a recovery environment. You are your own worst enemy, your victim. Your higher self is out to kick your ass because you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's those lessons that you go, and like people are being squeezed right now to learn all of those lessons. And you know what? People kill people with simple things such as words.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Probably the most dangerous weapon out there.
Oh, I know it, and I'm guilty of that, not killing people, but, my reflection back on my life. And that's something else I wanted to mention today, just briefly. A good thing to learn for yourself is to be able to tell on yourself. I mean, people don't need to know your creepy, dark secrets from the past, but, just in a uh, lighthearted way, tell on yourself. Uh, just, whatever it takes, to maybe get your point across. It's healthy. It's like journaling,
Mm.
when you tell on yourself, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about shifting your moral compass, and
Yes.
and like we are only responsible for ourselves, and so we must love ourselves to see where we have growth. And because of how people react, whether you have got a great moral compass or something that's not so fantastic. But it's always about experiences too. But we are all, I don't want to say this, we're all victims within this system, and
Oh, absolutely.
we are all trying to empower ourselves to empower ourselves.
Well, we all drink the Kool-Aid, we have to.
Sugar free. We're drinking
Yeah.
sugar free Kool-Aid now, everyone. Did you get the memo? Yeah, because, well, did I say this last time? How people were being given morphine at a period of time, like doctors were giving people morphine for the from after the efforts from the war, and then that changed into, because everyone was so addicted to it, changed into cocaine, and then that changed into nicotine, and then now we're at sugar.
Yeah. Well, they got us fit to a T as far as, what makes us tick,
Mm.
and I've had issues, um, with as far as being upset, about myself, putting myself through the chemical abuse of soft drinks,
Mm.
with the tissue regeneration. I'm just hoping and praying that these med beds, are going to truly be out and available to, the people of this planet in a timely manner. And when I say timely manner, I'm talking 2021, and I'm not talking December 31st. I'm holding those that talk about this and seem to be in the know accountable for running their mouths about this stuff,
Yeah.
coming soon. And it's out there, it's not hard to find now. All of a sudden, med beds seem to be a new buzzword. And I think we're going to see, uh, right now it's just regurgitation.
Mm.
The only thing I've learned, everybody else has learned in the last few days, about three different variants, of the same type of healing. So we'll see, and also heard that, that whole storm system that went through Texas, was a complete deliberate act,
Mm.
uh, to hold up this Nisara Gasara and as well where those med beds are made. It shut down production. Hopefully it didn't damage any equipment. I mean, those have to go worldwide.
I also heard that it was part of not being able to use the resources there for the oil infrastructure as well. There's many, many, many things that why those areas were targeted.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
Which is,
The-
but you know,
True.
we've heard about med beds and sessions a long, 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 long time ago, and it was this amazing technology, but we sort of, we keep hearing that it's going to happen so soon, and we were supposed to get it basically as soon as the broadcasts are happening. This is why I think a lot of people are getting frustrated with the delays, because while everything has to, all fold into place, there's some serious people with serious health issues that, they need this, like they needed this last year, and so for those
Yeah.
people who are still holding on to the belief system, as they should, because this is not a case of if they're going to happen. This is a case of when. And whoever is holding behind these med beds coming to humanity, shame on you. Shame on you. This needs to be as fast as possible. I'm trusting it's going all as fast as possible. We keep asking. But I just want to say, for people who are still listening, if you are one of those light workers who are sending loving energy around the world, and you are, you're trying to coat the world with this high vibration love, what information I've been getting recently is, can you please focus on whatever shape you believe the world to be? Can you focus your intention in the very middle, and then expand that love out all the way through to the surface and out and beyond? Because they're giving me the sense from these sessions, when we're coating something in love and we're putting so much pressure of love over this planet, we're not letting the dark out. We're actually pressurizing that dark a lot more, and we need to release it out now. So however that works, don't ask me, but they're asking for us to
purge. Yeah, we need to purge more darkness, and not,
And so lovingly, we're all wanting to wrap and nurture the planet with love, which is fantastic and very honorable. However, it seems like we are keeping the dark in, and we need to push the dark out. So when we're loving the planet and we're encapsulating the planet, we're locking in everything, and we actually need to kind of push out the darkness rather than keep it in.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that I want to get a group of people to work together to be able to focus on with some meditation, something. We need
a group healing meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so powerful. The groups that we have been doing in the past have been so powerful. The energies within each other is, I mean, it's such a blessing to have these amazing people out there who have been listening with us on this journey, listening to these sessions and growing and keeping themselves sane with each other. The support that we have for each other is just is truly beautiful. So
we're in a very quiet moment right now. The elections are over. We're just getting all this regurgitated nonsense. And really the planet is pretty much, at least from our perspective here in the U.S., is being run by the Pentagon. And and I sleep like a baby knowing that, that these people that are in the closed tight circle of keeping us from any type of massive harm that would certainly love to be used against us by those of the darkness. Because we're still, we're still vulnerable. It's not over. but it's in the right direction.
Well,
So
I would like to lovingly disagree, because the information we have been given in sessions is that it's, everyone who has done the bigger crimes against humanity have been dealt with. So we're dealing with either clones or CGI deep fakes, and that this is all slowly dripping out to slowly awaken people. So,
but Joanne, the thing is, kids are still going missing. That's not 100% yet. You're right in the sense of the big shots and, the shakers and the movers, they have been dealt with 100%. I agree with you. But kids are still going missing, you know.
Well, I just want to say kids go missing for very many reasons. And
Yeah,
we have to know that, when there is less people feeding off humans, than there was, what is really happening here. And
yes,
I just want
yes,
to say, something very firmly, because, working really hard to get the truth out, to be able to share the truth. The truth seems to diffuse the fear and the vulnerability, because humanity isn't vulnerable to anything but itself. And so when you're having fear and worry about being more, I mean, we can't be more, in quotation marks, victims than we already are in a system that is just about to collapse. So
yes, exactly. Don't lead with fear or
no.
any of those lower, frequencies. Lead with courage, of course, and it will still, head in the direction that we're looking towards.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I just found, some people still like to use entertainment, but some people still want to keep triggering people into the fear, while they are saying they are, spiritual workers. And I sort of find we all have to be acceptance of the crimes against humanity, trusting that they served a good purpose, trusting if, in quotation marks, children are still going missing, that is their life contract, that is their experiences, that is what they have needed. So for us to go into fear or lose our high vibration perspective because of children we do not even know if it's happening, or whether we're still being given garbage to still trip us into fear, we must be able to stay neutral, knowing that this is just now the final show, the final scenes to be able to get this ball rolling. But if we're still in fear of things that actually aren't happening, we're not ready for the bigger stuff yet. So everyone must do their own inner work to release fear profoundly.
Right. I agree. Yeah. I feel that way in the sense of, having a good week this week and being in the flow of these new energies, especially with the double CME that, is approaching us now or has hit us recently. I'm feeling really good when those sort of things happen, and I'm sure a lot of other people, maybe in a, uh, unsure kind of way, they blow it off or scuff it off as a good day or a bad day. But, these new energies are very helpful, in my opinion. As an empathic person, I appreciate the new bandwidth that we've been given on this planet.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you are experiencing the very purposeful reason that they are happening, which is so good. I've heard it seems like a huge amount of people who have suddenly woken up even since December or even late last year. They're going through what it seems like ascension symptoms. Their physical upgrades are happening with these new energies. So it's kind of like, if you've already been upgraded and you've already acclimated yourself to this higher frequency, you're going to not find so many shudders of emotions or pressures. And so it seems like, more and more people are awakening up, and a whole lot of newly awoken people are going through those massive ascension symptoms. at a faster rate, because everything's just happening at such a faster rate.
Oh yeah, it sure is.
It's
So,
fun times.
so we have a get together tomorrow, I understand.
Do we? For what?
You sent me the link for a a class of some sort or a
Ah,
meeting. Do you have a?
that must have been an old email, because, or unless my email.
Oh,
So those are group meetings. So yeah, we grabbed some people together for that, and it is.
oh,
But yeah, we can. Um, I'll add you more to. Or is that the group, the Telegram group?
that's what it was. The
Uh,
Telegram group. I just received that. I haven't really looked at it much. I was gonna. That's why I'm asking.
oh, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that want to connect with each other, who are well aware of this information from sessions, who just want to meet other like-minded people who know about the new earth and the excitement of things. And yeah, it's really beautiful, actually. I'm loving it, and this is where we get a lot of our support. This is where I get a lot of my own support, because you can't really rely on, you don't, it shouldn't be connecting and telling my clients this stuff. Like I do all these sessions, and I'm channeling all this information, and then to be able to have other like-minded people who get this stuff, it's really helpful to talk about it to others, because it just, when you love all of your friends and family, and the reason why you have those friends and family are very purposeful, and if they're not awake, it means you're the light keeper of the family, to keep boosting everyone up, have unconditional love for your entire family, and not be impatient that they're still sleeping, understanding and respecting their life purpose and experiences that they want, because they must, it's very purposeful. They're not being lazy or silly if they need to still be asleep. It is very crucial that we don't, muck with other people's. I did say muck, not the other F word.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, muck. We mustn't muck with other people's life contracts when we don't know what they're for. And the subconscious and higher self will kick people into their life purpose and path if they're not behaving.
Exactly. Yeah,
Not
the perfect storm will be created whenever it's necessary. That's a given. You can take that to the bank.
your pants will be on fire, and you will notice the universe is asking you to do something.
Yeah, this life has definitely got its, what do you call it, a shit your pants moment, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes, well, that's that's a fantastic analogy. Yeah, and anyway, okay. Well, Lex, do you have any last comments that you would like to share before we stop recording?
Pretty much just, ride the rail as best a person can, uh, again, about your Dr. Seuss session, with taking life a little lighter if you can, just live, laugh, love, that's and don't take yourself so seriously. Those are old recovery meeting analogies that I'd heard for years and years and years. And they're as good when you're a newbie as when you're an old timer.
Mm.
You
Well,
know,
I, I can appreciate all those sayings. I used to think that they were very generic until you start applying them to self, and then you actually get the real power of them. And I think we've been saturated with all these, waffle, live life, laugh nonsense. I mean, I personally couldn't have anything like that in my home. I just think it's obnoxious. We should all automatically know it. But I mean, I do.
yeah,
It looks pretty, like I get it. Don't send me hate mail. But we should be having this within us. We should feel it naturally. We shouldn't have to be reminded every time I walk into a room to laugh.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it feels a little bit forced. But when you truly do apply these gems and this wisdom, it honestly, it has such richness in it. It has such value. And what Dr. Zeus was showing me was, these parents getting like muddled over the words of his stories, and it was forcing them to just stop being so controlling with how you're dictating the story to the child. Allow the story to tell its own story, and it must have a rhythm. And that's why it was sort of like catchy and rhymey, and it kind of, there was such beautiful grace and information that he shared. And I would love to hear. I might start, because I didn't want to research about him until after the session. So now that the session's done, I can now research. But I want to see if we can hear a recording of him, because I think the way he delivers the information and the words is so rhythmical and perfect. It actually will be something else involved with it. So I'm looking forward to. Thank you for reminding me about him.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever did any of his own narration. I know the Grinch, of course, when that was done for the TV, I think one of the old big time actors was the narrative voice. I think it was, oh God, it was the guy that played Frankenstein, I think, in the old black and white movies. Boris Karloff may have been the actor's name that did the voiceover on the Grinch. But yeah, that was just beautiful. That whole story of the Grinch. And that's a complete story about going within. You know, it's all about going within. The whole Grinch story. His heart grew by what was it, 3 or 4 or 5 times. By the end of the story.
I haven't actually, I've only read a few when I was younger. I haven't actually read any of them to our children. And I accidentally stumbled the other morning to seeing them watching A Horse and Hears a Who before I had to do a session. And I mentioned it to Erica just in passing, because it's such an incredible, different dimensional conversation story. I loved it. And it was just so uncanny that her children also had watched that movie the same day. I mean, magical.
Yeah, the
It was,
synchronicity of it.
yeah, so divine, so divine. Did you hear? Oh, you haven't finished the whole of Nostradamus.
No, I'm in fact, I'll finish it after we finish up here.
Oh yeah, so poor Erica, beautiful, beautiful, blessed being she is. And then Dolores comes in and sort of gives her the statement of, "Well, I would have asked more questions if I was you." Like, what? No, I can't remember her exact words, but it was like, "Sheesh!" Like,
Yeah, that is funny when they get smart mouth with us like that through a channeling. That really catches me off guard when that happens. Like the couple of sessions you had that were kind of hardcore. About quit asking so many redundant questions. This was what, 6 months ago, last year sometime, when you'd had that session, and it was kind of a bitch out session. I love that session, by the way.
was that the one where she asked whether the channeler or the entity was cloned and they snapped at her?
That could have been it. Yeah, I remember that discussion as well.
Yeah, they just don't like being asked stupid questions. And how could an entity be cloned?
All that's going to come out at some point. There's just too much mysticism around it right now. It's like, is the earth flat or round? And we have no way of knowing because we can't leave. We're all stuck down here.
Well, it doesn't really matter if it's the shape of I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
they want to be able to give us information that is provable of how we have got stuck with lies and myths truths. They want us to ask them the bigger questions to be able to, for them to be able to help us and say, well, we could tell you exactly the shape of the earth, but you can't prove it. So why don't you just focus on the stuff you can prove and we can help you? And so they were like, they had they had stuff to do. They like had their own pants on fire. They just wanted to rush,
Yeah.
give us so much information. And it was,
Well, then ask them something that's provable is why is there 60 foot of beach sand all over the surface of the planet? And when was the last time a cataclysm happened? According to research records that myself and a few other people on YouTube have looked at, something very big happened in the 1800s. You know, if you could check in with them about that one, that's very provable. You know, you go anywhere on the planet and there's some kind of archaeological dig that's not that deep. You know, civilizations were around from the last cataclysm, and I think it was only 200 years ago.
mm,
So, you know, if that's provable, you know, that'd be a great one. You know, what's happened in the recent past to us as a cataclysm?
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess, we know that, stories can get changed around through generation to generation. We know that now we can't really trust much that's, digitally shown to us. We have to really look at the deep fakes, and the CGI. And, I don't know how many times I've been shown photos of, into quotation marks, two suns, knowing that digital cameras do have solar flare issues. And I'd love to see an actual video of these things. I was told ages ago in a session that there is a red planet, and the beings who are going to go to, is it what, Nibiru? I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah,
The people who are going to shift to that planet see that planet, but I have not seen any footage, any video footage, anything that I would believe is real. I mean, remembering I've had photographer, I was a, commercial photographer for quite a while. And I was blessed to be able to play with film and then see the birth of digital. And I know the capabilities of lenses now. And they're very, anyway, boring for most people, but I like to know the truth, and I like to see real evidence. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun to experience this. We're so lucky, so blessed to be here right now, and
oh
take,
yes, absolutely.
we can take this as a prison planet and be all gloom and doom about it, or we could see it as a blessing. It's such an honor to be here. All of the beings who I've talked to about it, they say, yeah, it's super hard. You guys are amazing. But you're going to be so proud of yourselves when this is all completed. So enjoy it now. Feel proud of yourselves now, because when you're an evolved being, those feelings you don't feel them. So, while in Rome, while here in this planet full of emotions, can we just start being really freaking proud of ourselves and seeing how far we've grown? Nothing has destroyed us yet. And we are so much more in our own empowerment that we just should be high-fiving ourselves. Look, I'll do it now.
Yeah,
It's a clap.
yeah, definitely.
High-fiving
Yeah,
yourself is a
there you
clap.
go. Yeah, there you go. You were breaking up on me. I didn't get the whole message there, but yeah, I know what you're saying. You got to celebrate yourself. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we definitely were able to attain the golden ticket to come down here and experience all of this.
Yeah. And so we don't know when it's going to end. Well, we sort of do in sessions, but the thing is that we should be embracing every day as a new possibility. I love, Terry, that you're doing a new business thing with your buddy and that this gives you so much joy. I love it. I love that you are creating the idea of having many enjoyable families and people having these adventures in these vehicles and this camping. And I think it is so beautiful. I love it so much for
I've
you.
just never met a greater group of just regular citizens that take it upon themselves, you know, to restore these old campers and to, you know, be complete strangers when we meet at a campground, you know, going to a new campsite or something, and there's a different group of people. But people, these little camper buses, you know, bring out the best in people. So why not? Why not? No other car on this planet has more of a visibility to people in general of peace and freedom and adventure than these little vans, you know?
Well, I guess the reason why you are resonating so much with those people is because they do take the time out of the matrix, of the busyness, of their careers, of their whatevers, and just take that time to go on the roads and see beauty, stop, have a cup of tea somewhere, and meet and have conversations with people. Because I guess when you're on this journey of exploring and traveling on the road, when you do see other people doing like-minded things, other physical campers, you do want to connect and have that connection. And I think it's beautiful. We have a motorhome, and when we stop at campsites, we always want to connect, and it is nice. It's a different conversation than, say, colleagues.
Well, people are so much more at ease, in a campground situation than they are in a motel or a high-rise, Hilton or something.
True.
There's more camaraderie. Plus, you're connected to the earth most of the time. The kids are all barefooted running around the campground, and they're all wound up and having fun. And, the adults can let their hair hang down and,
Yeah.
just relax and look at nature. And, it brings everybody together. So, that's what we ought to do is just say goodbye to the matrix and go camping and let God figure it out.
God's like, oh, well, that's a little bit of more responsibility than I was bargaining. Why can't you guys figure it out while you're camping and you're in your bliss? Get back into your tribes, he's saying.
Yeah.
That's saying, get back into your tribes. Feel
Yeah.
to each other again. That would be fantastic.
Well, it looks like we're at the top of the hour, and we've had another successful discussion on what's going on planet Earth in mid-February of 2021, or so they say.
Love it.